Ever think about like how well we can really know the people around us? You know, it's kind of unsettling, especially when you look at a book like Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith. He gets right into this disturbing closeness between a killer and someone they're watching, and, well, it just makes you wonder.
You're right. It really gets under your skin. And this third book in the Cormoran Strike series, well, it takes a much darker turn than the first two.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're not dealing with isolated murders here. This time, it's a full-blown serial killer, and the worst part is they have a very personal grudge against Strike.
It's a whole different ballgame. And the way Galbraith kicks things off, starting the book from the killer's point of view, watching Robin Ellacott, it's a bold choice, to say the least.
Definitely a chilling way to set the stage. What do you think Galbraith is trying to do by putting us right in the head of this disturbing character from the get-go?
I think it's brilliant, honestly. By using first-person narration, he throws us right into this uncomfortable intimacy with a mind that's clearly fractured. It makes you think about, well, the everyday nature of evil and how someone with a warped perspective can justify these horrible thoughts.
It's like he's saying evil can be lurking anywhere, even in the seemingly ordinary. And the whole thing kicks off with this gruesome package that Robin receives a severed leg, along with the lyrics from Blue Oyster Cult. This is not just some random act of violence. This is a carefully crafted message aimed directly at Strike's past.
Exactly. The package itself, those specific lyrics. It's meant to shake Strike to his core. This is someone who knows him, knows his history, and wants to use it against him. And that's where our journey begins. We have to untangle this disturbing mystery, follow the evolution of both Strike and Robin, and really dig into the book's themes, violence, identity, and how their professional and personal lives become increasingly intertwined. You know, like over on Mindful Moments and our podcast, that AI audiobook analysis YouTube channel, they do some interesting analysis on stuff like this.
Yeah, I can see the connections there. So back to the book, we're thrown into the mind of the killer right away. What kind of effect does having this direct access to their thoughts have on the reader, especially so early on?
The interesting thing is that Galbraith gives us access to the killer's justifications, how they see the world, without ever condoning their actions. We see their possessiveness, their lust for power, all from the inside. It's chilling, but it also flips the script on the typical crime thriller.
It adds a psychological layer that you don't always get. Speaking of psychology, I know Galbraith has mentioned being inspired by real-life serial killers. Even though Career of Evil is fiction, did you pick up on any echoes of known psychological profiles and how he portrays the antagonist?
Oh, absolutely. He draws on real-life cases to create a killer whose narcissism and need for control are woven into their internal monologue. You see how disconnected they are from reality? How they hide their true nature behind a mask of normalcy? It's like a glimpse into the mind of someone capable of these horrific acts.
It's terrifying, really, how easily someone can blend in. So this package arrives, and it forces Strike to confront his past. People he thought were long gone suddenly become potential threats. Who are the main figures from his past that become central to the investigation?
It really highlights how our past can come back to haunt us. For Strike, this severed leg immediately brings three men to mind. Donald Lang, a former soldier with a violent streak and a grudge. Noel Brockbank, connected to a really disturbing case from Strike's early career. And Jeff Whitaker, Strike's former stepfather, who he suspects might have been involved in his mother's death.
Each one a ghost from a different part of his life. It's interesting that even without a client paying him, Strike dives headfirst into the investigation. What does that tell us about him, about what he values?
He's driven by a deep sense of justice, even when it's inconvenient. He's also personally connected to this threat, which makes it impossible for him to ignore. This immediate response really shows his integrity and how dedicated he is to finding the truth, no matter the danger.
He can't turn away, even if he wanted to. Now, while Strike is dealing with his past, Robin's character goes through some major changes in this book, both personally and professionally. What stands out to you about her development in Career of Evil?
Her resilience is incredible. We learn that she was assaulted while at university, a really traumatic experience that led her to leave her studies. This sheds new light on why she's so determined to have a career in investigation and why she connects so deeply with victims.
So it's more than just a job for her, it's tied to her own experiences. How does she cope with that past trauma while also facing new dangers as part of this investigation?
Galbraith doesn't turn her into a tragic figure, Instead, her past trauma becomes a source of empathy and strength. It shows how adversity can shape us, make us stronger. She refuses to let herself be defined by what happened to her, and she proves herself to be incredibly competent and determined. She faces every challenge head on,
She's definitely a force to be reckoned with. But it's not all professional wins for Robin. Her relationship with Matthew falls apart during all of this. How do his actions and their strained relationship play into her overall journey?
Robin is fighting for her own agency on multiple fronts. She's going up against a dangerous predator, trying to heal from past trauma, and she's in a relationship that doesn't fit her anymore. It shows her strength, how committed she is to creating her own path, both personally and professionally.
She's breaking free from all these different constraints. Now, Career of Evil doesn't shy away from the issue of violence against women, both through the killer's actions and Robin's backstory. How does Galbraith handle this sensitive topic in a way that feels responsible?
He focuses on the aftermath of violence and the strength of survivors. He doesn't sugarcoat the reality of it, but he also avoids gratuitous detail. He wants to highlight the psychological impact, the long-term effects, and most importantly, the resilience of those who have experienced it. Robin's story really embodies that.
It's a powerful message, and there's the strong theme of identity and self-determination running through the whole book. How do Strike and Robin each grapple with defining themselves, especially when facing pressure from outside forces and their own pasts?
They're both trying to break free from expectations. Robin pushes back against what Matthew wants and asserts her independence in her career and personal life. Strike refuses to be limited by his disability or his family history. They're both fighting to define themselves on their own terms.
To write their own stories. Given that the threat against Strike is so personal, the lines between their professional and personal lives get really blurred. How does this affect how they work together?
It definitely intensifies their partnership. They can't really maintain professional distance, but you see this growing respect between them, an understanding that goes beyond a typical work relationship. Facing danger together forges a strong bond between them.
They're in the trenches together. Galbraith uses this interesting technique of switching between perspectives, going from third person for Strike and Robin to first person for the killer. How did this back and forth affect your experience reading the book?
It creates so much dramatic irony. We're in on the killer's thoughts, their plans. We know things that Strike and Robin don't. This builds suspense, and we experience everything with this heightened sense of anticipation. It's like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And then there are those Blue Oyster cult lyrics and mythology that keep popping up throughout the novel. It definitely adds to the creepy vibe, but do you think there's a deeper significance to this motif?
Definitely. The band's themes of darkness, death, and mythology tie directly into the book's core ideas. The lyrics act as clues for Strike, pulling him deeper into the killer's twisted world. They even permeate a kind of commentary on the events as they unfold. Even the title, Career of Evil, comes from a Blue Oyster Cult song co-written by Patti Smith, so that connection is really strong.
It's like a soundtrack to the whole thing. Even with all this suspense, the investigation itself feels realistic. There are dead ends, false leads. It's not all straightforward. How does this grounded approach to detective work add to the story?
It's one of the strengths of the series. Detective work is often slow and meticulous. It's about sorting through information, following leads that go nowhere, and gradually piecing together the truth. We see Strike and Robin using traditional investigative methods along with their growing understanding of psychology to figure out the killer's motives and patterns.
So it's not all about intuition and hunches, it's methodical. And as if this intense investigation wasn't enough, Strike and Robin are each dealing with major personal issues throughout the book. How do they manage to stay strong and focused with all of that going on?
It speaks to their inner strength. Robin's navigating the fallout of her broken engagement while trying to assert her independence, and Strike's facing chronic pain, financial struggles because of bad publicity, and the emotional weight of his past. It's amazing to see them persevere despite these personal challenges.
They keep going no matter what. So, as we wrap up our look at Robert Galbraith's Career of Evil, what are your final thoughts on the book? What makes it so impactful?
Career of Evil is a really powerful and unsettling story that shows off Galbraith's skill as a writer. The psychological depth is incredible. The characters are complex and well-developed, especially Robin and her inspiring resilience. And he explores these dark themes without holding back, but he does it responsibly.
He doesn't shy away from the darkness. And while the immediate danger is resolved by the end of the book, some personal storylines are left open. How do those loose ends make you feel about the next books in the series?
Those unanswered questions, like the mystery surrounding Strike's mother's death and what will happen with Robin's personal life, they keep you hooked. You want to know what happens next? How those stories will unfold?
Makes you want to jump right into the next book. Well, this has been an incredibly insightful discussion of Career of Evil. If you enjoyed this exploration, please consider subscribing to our channel and sharing this conversation with others. You can also find a link to purchase the book in the description. And as always, keep thinking critically about the stories we encounter in the world around us.